here's your introduction to conjugates. I have a list of acids here, and we are going to write the conjugate base. Well, if you have an acid, it's going to behave as an acid and lose a proton. All right, so its conjugate base, not what it loses the proton to, but what it becomes once it loses the proton. If HCl loses its proton, it will become Cl minus. If HF loses a proton, its conjugate base would be F minus. For H3PO4, we lose one hydrogen, so we're going to have the two hydrogens left, H2PO4, with a minus charge. Notice all of these are going down in charge because H plus has a positive charge, so when you add the plus back, you get the neutral compound. In carbonic acid, we lose a hydrogen, we get HCO3 minus. All right, now for the opposite, if you have a base and you want to write the conjugate acid, a base is going to gain a proton because the acid donates the proton to the base, so the base accepts a proton and becomes a conjugate acid. So these are always acid-base pairs. These are not the two things that react. These are the two things that are on opposite sides of the equation. So ammonia is going to gain a hydrogen. So now we're going to have 4, and it's going to be plus charge because this is neutral, and when you add a positive charge, it's going to have an overall positive charge. All right, bicarbonate, if it gains a hydrogen, and I'm sorry, this has the wrong charge, it should just be a 1 negative. Bicarbonate gains a hydrogen, it will become H2CO3. So I would pause the video. Here's your first example. Try to write the conjugate acid of each one of these, and then come back and check your answers. All right. So for ammonia, so the conjugate acid, that means these are behaving as a base. A base accepts a proton. All right. H plus is what we call a proton. If it accepts H plus, we are going to get NH4 plus. The F minus plus an H plus will give you HF. Remember, acids typically have our hydrogens out front, so that is usually where you will add your hydrogen. You just have to know that ammonia and ammonium ion are written this way. All right, water, if it adds an H plus, you get hydronium, H3O plus, and Cl minus would be HCl.